Hey, thanks for joining. This is Adam from Modern Automotive Performance, back again to talk about our new MAP SPEC engines. Now, the engine today that we're going to be introducing is an Evo 2-liter MAP SPEC, Stage 2. What does that mean exactly? Well, we have Stage 1 and Stage 2. You may have seen that in our past builds. Stage 1 is specifically looking at Hpm Rods in the 4063 platform and many others. Hpm Rods can handle up to approximately 650 wheel horsepower. Stage 2 for us is going to feature I-beam rods. These are going to be rated for 650 wheel horsepower plus applications. Now, that is going to couple with many other things. So the first thing we're going to knock out of the way is Stage 1, typically Hpm rods. Stage 2 is going to be I-beam rods, and there are going to be some changes in the metallurgy and grade of pistons we use, but very seldomly is that going to be the case across the platforms. With the Evo, typically there's Weisco Forged HD, Manley Extreme Series, etc. Top tier stuff. Now, one of the biggest things that people worry about is, I don't know if my core is good, my crank or my block. It may have suffered some damage from when it failed, and I got a race next weekend and I really need an engine. I don't want to spend the time to send it into you. So that's the beauty of the in-stock program, but how do you know what you're getting with an in-stock engine? One of the things that we address with this program is we use brand new OEM cores. There's nothing else that we will settle for. We don't order in some sort of salvage thing. We're looking at brand new OEM. This does a couple of things for us. It ensures maximum quality from the manufacturer. The next thing that it's going to help with is we get to choose things like bore size and bearing size. We don't have to run into cutting cranks or using oversized bearings, oversizing rods, stuff that isn't exactly perfect in our eyes. And more importantly, in the event that anything does happen to your engine, be it oil contamination, starvation, what have you, debris, melting a spark plug, these are all things that we can hopefully fix with a much cheaper and easier solution down the road. And to top it off, more so, if you buy a MAP SPEC in-stock engine, these are parts that have been gone through above and beyond. We don't just order in a crank and go, yeah, it's good. We actually look it over, we polish it, we make sure everything is ideal so that when assembly is done, it is up to our specifications. Again, these aren't just slapped together with parts that are in stock. These are in stock because we've gone to the effort to do it ahead of time for you. Now, some of the components that we're going to typically feature, remember, these are going to be in stock, and if a bearing is out of stock for 6 months, don't worry, we'll have you covered. We're going to be disclaiming what we're using in your engine, but I assure you that it's going to be up to our specifications. One of those is going to be King engine bearings, Weisco pistons, Manley I-beam rods, ARP head studs, and we're going to be using, of course, the new OEM core components, including oil squirters and check valves. Let's talk about the 2-liter displacement a little bit. Now, we already talked that it's one of the most popular displacement levels of the 4063, but we don't really talk about why very often. In fact, if you know the 4063 well, you know that it comes in a ton of different displacements. There's 2-liter, 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, 2.4, and long rod and D-stroker versions of most of those. Let's go into a little bit about what makes the 2-liter so great just as it is. To start, we have a standard length crankshaft stroke of 88 millimeters. This is what the crankshaft in a 2-liter Evo comes with and what we use in this 2-liter build. We use a 150 millimeter standard length rod, and we use a full piston skirt. Now, the piston in a stroker, for example, or a long rod or other combinations, we won't get too specific, actually has a shorter piston skirt. We'll get into what this does next, but because of these general commonplace items, this is going to be something that's easy to find parts for and service a little bit easier. When you put all these numbers together, what aspects of that engine are you going to notice most when it comes to these different configurations? A 2-liter is actually a very healthy engine for equal torque and horsepower across a very wide rev range for being a standard displacement engine. This means that you don't have to go to something too crazy like, let's say, a 2.1 liter long rod D-stroker. We'll keep it short and say that that's just a 4064 block that's a little bit taller, and we shrink the overall stroke so that we get what's called a good rod ratio. That combination is actually the only engine that revs better in terms of what's called a rod ratio than the 2-liter, which has a 1.77 rod ratio as opposed to a 1.84 in that 2.1 liter D-stroker. Again, that's the only one that technically has a better rod ratio. So you can spend all the money you want on these other combinations, but a 2-liter is actually an extremely strong competitor. Another bonus that the 2-liter has even over other all other combinations is that it has a full piston skirt. This means that on cold starts, when you are first firing up the engine and just on a ton of lateral load, because the piston is actually, exchanging load across the cylinder as the various strokes take place, that its wear is actually dissipated across a greater surface area and maintains a better alignment with the cylinder itself. Before we dive into things like piston speeds and whatnot, we'll cut it there, but we're happy to talk about any of these details over the phone, through the email, whatever you want, but I just wanted to let you know a little bit about what makes the 2-liter special. Now, it doesn't stop there, so once you get your engine on the way, we're happy to help you with more. It's not just a compilation of parts thrown together in a block and shipping on the way to you. We understand there's more to it. We're going to help you with the rest of the OEM components, timing kits, oil pumps, upgraded head studs, and look for our in-stock cylinder heads as well to get you back on the road even faster, just in case you need those. So it's not going to be just a short block service that we can offer you. It's just a big chunk of the puzzle that we're trying to simplify, make it much faster, much easier, affordable, and more importantly, top-notch quality for the dollar and the best customer service you can ask for. As always, thank you for watching. If you have any questions, comments, or if this seems like something you want to get your hands on right away, give us an email, phone call, give us a shout out on social media. We're happy to help. Have a good one.